Hello, everyone. Charles Watts here. Welcome to Monday's edition of Inside Arsenal. I hope you're all having a good start to your week, and wherever you're watching or listening to this around the world, you had a fantastic weekend. Lots to talk about again today. We'll talk the latest about Declan Rice and Jurrien Timber, because let's face it, we've got to talk about those guys until they're actually signed. So we'll have a little bit of things to say about them. We'll talk about Matt Turner. He's had a fantastic night once again for the US. We'll talk a little bit about Folarin Balogun, the trip to Germany, where the Arsenal squad are currently at ahead of that first pre-season game of the season on Thursday. Competitive game, anyway, on Thursday. They did, of course, play Watford behind closed doors at London Colney over the weekend. And we'll take some of your questions as well at the end. So lots to get going. But before we start all that, will you please indulge me and let me give myself a little bit of a plug. If you haven't already got on the pre-order scene for my book, Revolution, The Rise of Mikel Arteta's Arsenal, I'm going to leave a link below in the description if you're watching this on YouTube. Big day today for this. It goes to the printers today. So it's been written for a while, but today's the day that it goes to the printers. The last couple of weeks we've spent sort of going over the proofreading stage, doing a little couple of changes, that sort of thing. And today it goes to the printers. So big day. It comes out on August the 31st. And yeah, if you haven't pre-ordered it yet, and I know plenty of you have, which I really do appreciate, then please do get on the pre-order scene. Like I said, the link, if you're watching this on YouTube, will be down below in the description. If you're listening to this on a podcast and you want to go to the pre-order link, you'll find it on my social media pages. The pinned tweet at the top of my Twitter. And yeah, of course, it's a book detailing the rise of Arsenal since Mikel Arteta arrived at the club in 2019, going through the highs, the lows, last season's drama. Yeah, hopefully for all Arsenal fans around the world, it'll be a very good, interesting and fun read. So, okay, plug over. Let's stop talking about that. But yeah, the link is down below if you're watching this on YouTube. Let's start by talking about Jurrien Timber and Declan Rice. Now, what is going on with the pair of these two? Well, Declan Rice seems like we're going to have to wait a little bit longer. I did speak about it in yesterday's episode, but it's still rumbling on. There's been lots of people saying, oh, it's been done, he's had his media done. I can't confirm that. I know he was definitely with club staff over the weekend. He is now away again. I think he's gone on holiday. I think someone spotted him actually at the airport yesterday as well. So I think he's on holiday. Obviously, West Ham had a big extended season, went right through to the Conference League final. Then Declan Rice went straight away with England after that. So he's basically had no break. So he's having a little bit more extended time off to recover ahead of the new season, which for Arsenal is going to be really, really important. Should this transfer get finalised, which of course we're all expecting it to do, hopefully by the end of this week. Arsenal go off to the US tour on Sunday, and Mikel Arteta very much would want Declan Rice on that plane going on that tour. So yeah, all signs point towards that one being finalised at the end of the week after his little break. Like I said, he has been with club staff over the weekend. I'm not sure. I don't know if he's been at London Colney yet. He certainly, as far as I was aware, wasn't at London Colney prior to today or yesterday. I'm not sure. But Jurrien Timber was definitely there and did all his medical, did all his media and all that sort of stuff. He went back over to Holland to, say goodbyes to people and have this party. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see the picture there that was uploaded by a family member. He was having a go-away party back in Holland before coming over to link up with the squad. You can see there a sign there, Jurrien's goodbye party, see you in the streets of London, and a picture there of Jurrien Timber in his Arsenal kit. So that one is going to be confirmed very, very soon. The plan was, I thought that he was going to get him over with the squad for the trip to Germany. I expect they can't do that until he's actually officially signed and it's announced. So I don't know if he will end up going over there potentially by the middle part of the week if Arsenal announce it today or tomorrow. And I'm recording this at 11:15 in the morning on Monday. So, it might be announced by the time you're even watching or listening to this. It might have been announced. We'll have to wait and see, but it's all done. And, that one's further along the line than Declan Rice's. So I think I can't imagine they'll hold it back and announce them both together. I think we'll probably get Timber announced at some point early stages of this week, and then Rice, once it's done by the end of the week. So that's where we are. I know it's a bit frustrating, but I mean, it's just patience needed at the end of the day. It's gonna pains me to say it's gonna happen because you never know in football. Who knows? But I mean, it is going to happen. Having said, I don't want to say it. It is going to happen. We just got to wait until it gets until both of them get announced. So that's where we are on those two. I want to talk a little bit about Flo Balogun now. It's been another sort of 24, 48 hours of links and speculation about Balogun. I saw him linked with Chelsea as well. RB Leipzig, another team continuously linked with Flo Balogun. And I think these next couple of weeks are going to be really, really interesting for him. Obviously, he's away with the squad now. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see him there at London Colney with Austin Trusty, another US national team player. He's away with the squad in Germany, so he's definitely going to get some minutes, you would think, in the game against Nuremberg at the end of the week. And then he's going to go off to the US tour, where, of course, he's a sensation at the moment, having switched allegiance to the US. He's going to have 3 games over there. He's going to have a really intense training camp with Arsenal in front of Mikel Arteta. And you just wonder what's going to happen if Balogun absolutely tears it up over the next couple of weeks, scores goals, looks a real threat, is fantastic in training. What will that do in terms of Arsenal's decision-making process in this summer? Is it set in stone that he will go? What happens if he tears it up and Nketiah struggles? Might that change the thought process at Arsenal? We know that Balogun doesn't want to go out on loan again. He said as much. He wants to be playing regularly, doesn't want to consider another loan, and that's put Arsenal in a difficult position. He's only got 2 years left on his contract, but if he has an amazing pre-season, will Arsenal change their thinking? Will it be, okay, let's give Balogun a proper go. Let's try and get him to sign this new contract. Let's give him the minutes that he needs to impress. It's going to be really, really interesting. I'm intrigued to see how Balogun does, because he will get opportunities during this pre-season. 100% he will. And if he takes them, that's going to put Arsenal in a really interesting position, I think, in terms of what they do ahead of the new season. I mean, for them, if they are absolutely decided, okay, we're going to sell this summer, if he has a fantastic preseason, that's only going to help them, of course, because his price tag's going to be high. He's going to keep his name in the headlines. So it's a win-win situation, really, I would say, for Arsenal this summer when it comes to Balogun. But the Chelsea links, I'm not keen on that, I have to say. He's clearly a really talented player. I don't think Arsenal should be considering selling to Chelsea. I know times are changing a little bit, and Premier League clubs now are doing a lot of business between themselves. We've seen that with Arsenal signing Kai Havertz, signed Jurrien before that. Manchester United have just signed Mason Mount. We're seeing Premier League clubs do business together. I mean, Arsenal signed plenty of players from Manchester City. Manchester City have just signed Kovacic from Chelsea. When you're in the Premier League now, and you've got these players who are on such big wages, and you want big transfer fees, now the market is so slim for selling these players that you're going to have to do business with your rivals now. It's not like before when you could send them abroad, you could send them to Italy. There's very few clubs that can take on the financial hit that's needed to sign proven Premier League players. And so that does change things a little bit. And so when you look at Balogun and potentially the links to Chelsea, you think, well, maybe that is one club. If Arsenal want 50 million for Balogun, that's one club where they could potentially get 50 million for Balogun. But having said that, that doesn't sit well with me. I really hope that is something that wouldn't be considered this summer. And if they are going to sell to someone, it's going to be someone outside of maybe not the Premier League, but certainly not Chelsea. That's I don't think that's where you want to be selling some of your top young talent, if indeed you do choose to sell. And who knows, as I said, if Balogun absolutely tears it up now in pre-season, he's going to give Arsenal a big decision to make over the final sort of week or so of the the final month or so of the transfer window. So Balogun is one of the Arsenal players who has headed over to Germany. The squad getting on the plane on Friday. You got obviously Odegaard, Mario Neni, Jesus, Jorginho, all those sort of players are heading over to the general. Have headed over to Germany. They are already there, and will be starting their training camp today. I think will be the first session, and then all building up to that game on Thursday. Kai Havertz has travelled, joining up with his new teammates. And that'll be really interesting to see Kai Havertz in that friendly on Thursday, because I imagine he will get minutes. He's only just started training, so he's a little bit behind everyone else. But I imagine Kai Havertz will certainly get minutes in that game against Nuremberg. And that's going to be really interesting. First of all, just to see what sort of understanding he perhaps has with his new teammates already. But more importantly, where is he going to play in this system? Are we going to see him playing in that Granit Xhaka role in the 4-3-3 system? We've seen Mikel Arteta, that we're used to Mikel Arteta using. Is Havertz going to play there, or is there going to be a slight little tweak in terms of it? So I think that's going to be the most intriguing aspect of this little trip to Germany, is that Kai Havertz situation ahead of Thursday. If indeed Jurrien Timber doesn't link up, if they let him sort of wait until the squad returns and then gets him on the plane for the US tour, I think Havertz is certainly going to be the most interesting one of the lot. One player who is not over there is Matt Turner, who continues to impress for the United States national team. Now, I've had a lot of questions like, why is Turner playing for the US at the moment at Balogun? Isn't well for this Gold Cup competition that US are playing in at the moment. It's a little bit of a change squad. Turner wanted to stay. He's captain. He wanted to stay. He hadn't played that much for Arsenal, so he wanted to stay and get regular minutes. And it's proving very worthwhile for him, because he's having a starring role in it. He was again last night as US beat Canada on penalties. Turner named man of the match. He saved 2 penalties in the shootout. Such an impressive record in saving penalties for Matt Turner. I think it's out of the 29 he's faced in his career, he's saved 14 of them. That's nearly 50%. 1 in 2 he has saved. And I think it really does raise an interesting question. I think I put it out on social media this morning. In terms of, if Arsenal get to another penalty shootout this season, they did last season, of course, against Sporting, and Ramsdale was in goal for it, who hasn't saved a penalty yet for Arsenal. If Turner's on the bench and Arsenal get to a penalty shootout next season, whether it be in the Champions League or any of the cup competitions, there's a very strong argument for making a tactical sub just before that shootout to bring Turner on to take Ramsdale off. We've seen it before. Other teams have done it with lots of success. Arsenal haven't done it. We've never seen Arsenal do it, no matter who's in charge. But could that change next season? Should Matt Turner come in if Arsenal get to a penalty shootout, given his impressive record from the spot? It's a really strong argument for doing it. And I think some people say, what that do? That would crush Ramsdale's confidence. I don't necessarily think it would. I think because we've seen it so much more in football now, it is a tactic. It is a tactic that plenty of coaches and managers use. So I don't think it's a case of saying to your first choice or whoever's in goal, you're not good enough to save penalties. It's just, look, we've got a specialist penalty saver in our squad. We're in a penalty shootout. It makes sense to use him. So I don't think it would really crush Ramsdale's confidence. Obviously, I can't imagine he'd be too happy with it, but I don't think it would crush his confidence by any means. It was just the fact that there's a more specialist penalty saver in the squad, and you've got to use all of your best possible tools to win football matches. And if Arsenal do get to a shootout again, I absolutely wouldn't be surprised or complain if Matt Turner is brought on to play his part in that shootout. I just think it would be the sensible thing to do, really. When you look at the stats, you look at the data behind it, and we know how much everyone uses data now in football, that the data suggests you've got a better chance of winning a penalty shootout with Matt Turner in goal than you have with Aaron Ramsdale in goal. And if that is the case, then you use Matt Turner, surely. I don't think everyone was talking about that Sporting game. I'm not sure Arsenal had any subs left, and I haven't had time to go back and have a look at this before recording this video. If Arsenal had any subs left, because of those early injuries in the first half to Saliba and Tomiyasu, Arsenal really were up against it in terms of how many subs they could use and when they could use them, because obviously you can only use a certain amount, bring on a certain amount at a certain time. You have one extra they could use in extra time, and that sort of thing. So I'm not sure Mikel had the option of actually bringing on Matt Turner in the final stages of that game. I think he might well have used all his subs and used the available windows to use them. So because of those injuries, but should that happen again next season and he have the availability of actually using a sub, I do wonder if he'll use it. I think it's a very strong argument for it. Okay, let me know anything you've agreed with, disagreed with in this video. Please do let me know by leaving a comment below if you are watching this on YouTube rather than listening on podcast. Let's get to some of your questions and your comments now to finish off today's episode. And here's one from Corey. Thank you very much, Corey. He says, quick question. Why are Arsenal's new player announcements always dragged out? Is it just the way Arsenal operate, or is there another explanation? It's an interesting one, I think. Because obviously we get it all the time. We see it all the time. Arsenal fans getting very frustrated on social media. Why isn't an announcement being made? I do wonder though if it just feels like this because we're also invested in Arsenal. We don't follow everyone else's transfers or business during the summer like we do Arsenal. I wonder if you go to every other fan base and say to them, do you get annoyed at clubs sort of holding off their announcements or dragging out announcements? I think they'd probably all feel the same. I think we just feel it's more of an Arsenal thing because we've focused on Arsenal and we follow Arsenal. But I imagine if you go and ask every other supporter on social media, does it feel like your club takes ages to announce things? I bet you they all probably say the same. Arsenal will announce a player when it's ready to announce. That's the thing. They can't announce Declan Rice at the moment because he hasn't signed. They can't announce Timber at the moment, I think, because he's not in the country and they're waiting for it all to come back. I'm sure that one's going to be announced very, very soon. But everything has to be in place. Everything has to be signed off. It has to be agreed with the other club as well, so the timings of the announcement can go together. There's just a few things that they have to put into place before it can happen. I know it's frustrating, and I think the way of social media now, it almost feels like the announcement, the life has been sucked out of the announcement because everyone's known so long before it's actually announced that it's been done, that by the time the announcement comes, you're just like, oh, we already knew that anyway. We already knew it's done. But I think that's just the way of social media at the moment. So yeah, I don't think it's just an Arsenal thing, Corey. I think it kind of feels a little bit like that because Arsenal is, of course, what we really focus all our time and attention on. Okay, here's one from Jared. Says, hi, Charles. With Havertz coming in and probably going to play in Granit Xhaka role, who will back up Havertz in that role? I was hoping for Xhaka to stay so our squad is strong with the Champions League in the mix-up this coming season. Well, I think there are certainly options. Look, Emil Smith-Rowe, I've talked about lots on these episodes recently. I think he's in a prime position to play in that role. I think he can play it really, really well. He can move out to the left. He can drift out there. He can come into a central position. He's got real eye for goal. He's shown that while he's been away with England. He's shown that for Arsenal as well when he's been fully fit, which he is right now. So I think he's absolutely in the running to potentially be a backup for that role if Havertz wasn't there. I think Declan Rice can absolutely play there as well. And as long as Thomas Partey stays, which I very much hope he does, then if you want to give Havertz a break, you can move Declan Rice to play up there, give him more of a box-to-box role, and you can play Thomas Partey in the number 6 role. So that's a big option you can have. I think Fabio Vieira, of course, can operate in that position as well, even if he's more of a right-sided 8. I think that's where Mikel likes to use him a little bit more than the left 8, but he can definitely play in that role. So there's plenty of options, I think, for Arsenal to use there. And I think Declan Rice, we're all obviously thinking he's going to play in the number 6, which I think he probably will, but he can also easily play in that number 8 role. And as long as Thomas Partey stays, or even if Mohamed Elneny or Jorginho can play that role as well, that he is an option. So I think there's plenty of them who could back up Havertz there. So thank you very much, Jared, for your question. Here's one from, I don't even know what that says. What is it? Outrageous Gamer, I think that is. Will Rosiak be going on tour? Not heard a lot of people talk about him. Every time I watch him, he's been really impressive. I agree. I think he was right up there, one of the stars of the Youth Cup run last season. I saw him in the semi-final, in the final, scored a brilliant free kick in the semi-final against Manchester City, set up the goal in the final. I think when Arsenal went in front or had a big part to play in that final, scored against Watford in that run as well. He was a real star of the tournament. Every time I watched him play, he was really impressive. He's kind of can play the inverted right back role really, really well. His set piece delivery is absolutely excellent, but he's still very, very young. So he's not going to be going on tour. No, I think the 3 youngsters who have gone out on tour are Ethan Nwaneri, Miles Lewis-Skelly and Raul Walters. They're the 3 who have gone over to supplement the squad with Mikel Arteta. Rosiak won't go. He's still very, very young. I think obviously Lewis-Skelly and Nwaneri are young as well, but I think for a defender especially, I think that it's just better to give Rosiak another year, get him ready to continue to develop him, maybe go out on loan after another season with the 21s. But yeah, I agree with you. I think he's been very, very impressive. He's definitely one of the young players to watch out for. So thank you very much for your question. And finally, let's finish with this one from Mr. Unaf, who says, could you please tell us why Gary O'Driscoll has decided to leave for Manchester United? Doesn't that now weaken the medical department? Feels like a lot of change in the backroom staff with Steve Round and now Gary. Yeah, it was a bit of a surprise, I have to admit, and I know it's definitely been met with surprise and sadness by the widespread community in terms of inside the club at Arsenal. Gary was a really, really popular figure within staff at all levels at the club. Really nice guy. And I know the staff are upset that he's gone or he's going because he was such a popular figure. In terms of why he's gone, I believe he's just his family are up there. He's being close, it's to getting closer to family. He's been at Arsenal for a long, long time. He very nearly went a couple of years ago, but Mikel Arteta convinced him to stay. But I think after another couple of years here, he just feels that the time is right after such a long time at the club, with the opportunity to move back to his family and move into a massive club in Manchester United as well. It's just a good next step for his career. And, these guys are all similar to us. We kind of chop and change jobs. You want to move on. You want to try something new after being in a certain job for a while. And it's the same for these guys in the positions they're in. Gary O'Driscoll's been at Arsenal for a long, long time. And, I don't think it's a massive upheaval for the club. Obviously, he's a really hugely respected figure, both in terms of who he is as a man, but also in terms of what his job and the job he does in terms of the medical side of things. So he will be a miss, but Arsenal will be able to replace him. They'll get another really respected guy in from somewhere else. It's just the way it is. And I don't think it's going to cause too much upheaval behind the scenes. As disappointing and sad as people are that he's going, it's just the way of the world. They'll get another really respected guy in or come in, and I'm sure he'll do an excellent job as well. So I'm not overly concerned about the fact him and Steve Round have gone. They are big changes, no doubt about it. But, I'm sure it's something that Arsenal are well on top of. And I don't think it's anything that Mikel Arteta is going to be overly concerned about in terms of having an impact on the pitch and on the results and on the team. All right. Thank you very much, everyone, for tuning into this edition, whether, again, that be on podcast or on YouTube. I really do appreciate it. As always, have a very good start to your week, wherever you're watching, listening around the world. And I'll be back tomorrow to talk all things Arsenal as we really start to gear up for that big pre-season friendly against Nuremberg towards the end of the week. Thanks, everyone. Speak to you soon.